Bill Henshaw here again, your friendly local constitutional coop from California. And the Trump administration looks like they've just done it again. They come out with a memo out of the Department of Justice that says there's no right to property in paper money. And in a highly technical sense, that's true, but they have to know better. And certainly the Supreme Court, the current justices do know better than this. Because those undefined dollars, and by the way, they go back at least as far as Franklin D. Roosevelt and the New Deal. Would have been nice to know the deck had 54 jokers, uh, where they converted everything, to fiat paper currency. But the big deal about that, and this is why we win our cases, is that we have property rights in our time and labor. We're members of the sovereign body politic of the nation and republic, and we can't therefore be reduced to artificial corporate entities, which is what you'll learn the 14th Amendment effectively did, among other things. Please send me an email on that, uwinnincourt@gmail.com for more information. But when we show up, and this is a big deal because everywhere you go, whether it's, HOAs, power procurement syndicate, traffic court, mortgage bankers, you name it, and you show up in their quote unquote courts, aka administrative tribunals, they think you're an artificial corporate entity like Chase Bank, IBM, or Microsoft. I would love to get a factual foundation and legal basis for that. But that said, and we know what's going on here. To learn more, send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. But when we show up, the Constitution mandates and the Supreme Court has ruled that's an Article 3 judicial court because our presence makes it so, and we have a right to a common law trial by jury according to the course of the common law. The government, by contrast, has the burden of proof, for example, to prove that you are a person within the meaning of any of their statutory schemes. For example, no person, quote unquote, shall drive, quote unquote, a vehicle, quote unquote, of a type to be registered on the highways. Well, the problem with that, person in that context only means corporation. You drive a team of horses, as any member of the Teamsters Union will know, and we travel in a common law conveyance. We don't drive a vehicle, and you drive that vehicle, by the way, in interstate commerce. And that's a real problem, as if the other ones aren't on their own, because commerce, the Supreme Court has ruled, are closely associated with the admiralty jurisdiction, known to those racist framers as a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws. The central cause of the American Revolution, crying out loud. And here we come, back to it again. Might as well have not had any events occurred with that in the 1790s and the Constitution. It's all gone, or at least it looks that way. Luckily, the current justices on the Supreme Court know a lot better than this. They're going to be around for the next 10 or 12 years and maybe more. That's a lot of bargaining leverage for us to get their cases settled and to get some big payouts there too, because all these artificial corporate perps are committing acts of treason every time they serve you process and you show up in their administrative tribunals. That's not how it's supposed to work. And yeah, you have a lot of good instincts if you realize that. You say, what the hell? How did I get there? Well, that's what you're going to learn here. Send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. And these issues apply across the board, by the way. That's really a great thing about it. Doesn't matter where you are. You're not in a judicial court. And we have a right to that from day one. That's how good a job those racist framers did back in the day. And it's still there, and the current justices damn well know it. And with a little luck, they may actually start to make rulings of that type before this term is over at the end of June. And that's thanks a lot to Donald Trump for coming in there and the first week he's in office and the first day he issues an executive order on birthright citizenship, and that gives the whole game away. And you'll learn all about that. Send me an email, humanincourt@gmail.com. That's all these bastards recognize or think they have to. In other words, the bottom line is they don't recognize any sovereign, independent states admitted into this union, not to mention the federated republican form of government of defined and limited powers that we're supposed to have. And we can begin the process of getting it all back and then some, and getting some handsome payouts too. More importantly, though, and this is why I really do the work that I do, you get my materials and learn, and you can teach your children and your posterity so they don't have to go through this crap, number one. Number two, if and when they get into the jury pools, and that's a video for another day, they're going to know what their rights are, and they're going to know they can rule on the facts and the law and put these de facto dragoons out of business. That's how good all of this is. And for me, I'll be 77 later this year. Life is still ahead of me because of what those trainers did for us. And we have a lot to thank them for. Wasn't a perfect government, maybe, but the best one that's ever been in existence. And we want it back. And I think the current justices want it back. And President Trump wants it back. It's a great time to be around doing things like this. So that said, send me an email humanincourt@gmail.com. Subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we take action, the quicker we get these bastards off our backs. Thank you.